Hey guys, and welcome to Crazy Burger. So in this video I'm going to be discussing and looking at some details regarding Full Void and whether this is worthy of being a single game cart on Evercade. Now don't get me wrong, I think it's a fantastic game. It's about maybe 3 to 4 hours gameplay overall, and admittedly you could probably play it through again if you miss some of the secrets that's hidden within the game, such as this little sort of cutscene here. But I'm just not entirely convinced it's worthy of being a single game cart on Evercade. Even though it is a great game, I just don't think there's enough content there to sort of warrant it being a single game on Evercade. I think it probably would have been better if there was another game chucked in with it. If we look back at some of the dual carts we've had already, for example, like Xeno Crisis and Tanglewood, those games are probably, you could argue that those games deserve to be single game carts. Even look at a game like Tanzer that wasn't even on a dual cart, it was on a cart with loads of other games. That could potentially have been a single game cart, no problem. And other stuff like Cathedral and Alwa's Awakening, those games were fantastic and they offered far more hours of gameplay for your buck, and you could probably argue that either of those games could have been a single game cart all by themselves, not a problem. Full Void, is it worthy of being a single game cart? I'm not entirely sure. I think it could well be a sign of the times, to be honest. It's not a slight on this game because it's fantastic, it is a great game. I'm just not convinced that it should be a single game cart. But I get a feeling it could be a sign of things to come. I think we might see more single game collections at some point, maybe next year. And what I'm going to be doing in the rest of this video is looking at some potential single game carts that we could see on Evercade going down the line. Whether they're compatible, I'm not entirely sure. But let's have a look at some of the games I've discovered over the last year. So the first game I'm looking at is a game called Lunarch. It's actually available on most platforms like Xbox, the Switch, Steam, PlayStation type of thing. It was released a few months ago, and the reason why I put it in first is because it's very similar to Full Void in the fact that it's similar to games like Flashback as well. And I don't really see anything in the game that would suggest it wouldn't be compatible on an Evercade product. I might be wrong. Obviously, sometimes it depends how this game is coded and what platform it's been coded on. Such if it's Unity, I'm not entirely sure that that's compatible on Evercade. But I really enjoyed this game. It's got the sort of flashback elements, as you can see here, and it's got a great story to it. I thoroughly enjoyed playing through it. It's got some bosses as well. And if you've never played it, I'd highly recommend it. Maybe we'll see it on Evercade at some point. Now we've already included this game before. This is Sydney Hunter, and obviously we have the collection already, but we didn't get this game. I'm not sure we'll ever see it due to the fact it's coded in Unity, but you never know, maybe one day we will. So this game is Haiku, I think that's how you pronounce it, might be wrong, and it's obviously in CS, it's a kind of a rogue-like sort of platformer slash 'em up. Maybe a little bit like Cathedral in a way, maybe, but it's really cool. It reminds me more of the Hollow Knight games rather than sort of Cathedral style. And I thoroughly enjoyed playing through this as well. I don't really see anything in it that would suggest it wouldn't be compatible on Evercade, but obviously I'm not technically minded. I'm not entirely sure what is and what isn't. It obviously depends on the platform, but this is really, really cool. Thoroughly enjoyed playing this one. Okay, so this is obviously Broken Sword, Shadow of the Templars. This is the director's cut, but I was thinking maybe at some point, you never know, we might actually see the original Broken Sword games on Evercade. Given the fact we've got some Amiga point-and-click games coming next month at the time of this video, maybe at one point we'll get a Broken Sword game. We might even get a dual cart Broken Sword 1 and 2, who knows. I would absolutely love this. I loved the Broken Sword games. I thought they were terrific. This is obviously the director's cut and has a little bit of extra stuff in it. Okay, so next up is a game called Alect Head, which was released a couple of months ago on all the modern platforms, such as Xbox, Steam, the usual stuff. And it's a kind of a puzzle platformer style game, which I thoroughly enjoyed. You can see you've got this head that's electrified, and that then interacts with a lot of other platforms. If you chuck it to some of the other platforms, that will then electrify that platform. You can move the head off and then maneuver through these different platforms. There's a lot going on in this game. It's very tricky at times, but quite rewarding, thoroughly enjoyable to play through. I definitely got stuck at some point, but I really enjoyed it. It was fantastic. And again, I'm not entirely sure it would be compatible on Evercade, but I couldn't see anything that stuck out that didn't look that it would be possible at all. It's got that modern sort of retro feel, like most of the games that I've included so far. Hopefully we will. Dual cart, single cart, who knows?
Vendetta!
Now this is definitely one that's been requested lots of times. This is Final Vendetta, which is a kind of a beat 'em up, scrolling fighting game, whatever you want to call it. Much in the lines of Streets of Rage, Final Fight type of thing. Kind of reminds me more of Streets of Rage, but it's got a mixture of the two. It's fantastic, really good fun. Not really sure it would be compatible on Evercade. I don't really see why it wouldn't be, to be honest. They could get a sort of version of that, no problem. And obviously we've got Bitmap Bureau has made the games on Evercade before, such as Xeno Crisis. So you never know, we could see it. It could be a single game cart at some point, maybe in 2024. Maybe even could be one of the games we see in February 2024, along with Indie Heroes Collection 3. Now, how amazing would this be if we could get Retro City Rampage on Evercade? This would probably be maybe a dual cart. I think there's another version of this as well. Maybe even a single cart. I would be happy with either. And as you can tell, it's a kind of a original Grand Theft Auto style game. The similar graphics, if you can remember the original PlayStation Grand Theft Auto game. Wow, it was so addictive. It looked absolutely horrible. Graphics are terrible, but the gameplay was so addictive, and obviously it had that crazy humour and the horrible violence, as you can see here. You have so much fun doing stuff you would never do in real life, obviously, but it's so much fun. Yeah, and you felt so good after it. It certainly was one of those games I loved to come home after a stressful day at work and get stuck into and just run Rampage around the city. What a great game. Please, Blaze, this would be fantastic on Evercade. Let's get it happening, please. Come on. Okay guys, so that's my thoughts on games we might see as single game carts on Evercade, maybe dual carts, who knows. We might see some of them, we might see none of them, but some of them are along the same lines as Full Void. So I'm pretty sure there's some possibility in these games that I've included in the video. But yeah, let me know, what do you think? What other games do you think we'll see as single game carts, dual carts? What about Full Void? Do you think it should be a single game cart? Do you think there's enough value there? Do you think maybe it should be a dual cart? Hard to say it. If you've not played it yet, then you're certainly in for a treat if you've sort of pre-ordered it. It's a fantastic game. Guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you again in the next one. Bye for now.